And welcome to Dare to Disagree, ladies and gentlemen, your weekly episodic podcast where we average Joes who know a little something about something, just kind of let you guys know exactly how to fix things. I'll be your host today, Jonathan Esther out of California.
This is Alone in the Dark and wonderful Colorado.
It is nice. Now, we here at Dare to Disagree took an impromptu, unwarned 1 month hiatus. And we know this because you guys went absolutely crazy not posting why we weren't performing. I think maybe one person asked, but aside from that,
Thanks, Mom.
we got a lot done. Anyway, I was out there in sunny Colorado checking out the sites, and he ain't lying, man. It is pretty out there.
Yeah, we don't do bad for ourselves.
It ain't no California beach, but they have a couple of things that make up for that.
I'll take it.
Things like rooftop jacuzzis, stuff like that.
Yeah, and the driving snow. Mrs. Jonathan Esther was out there. That was beautiful.
She was a fan. Anyway. Well, this is it for the show today. The rest of the guys are up and about, running all over the place. So it's been an interesting month. We took a hiatus at a good time because there's a lot of interesting things going down all over the doggone place. Now, do you have anything you want to start with? Because I have something we could get into quite quickly.
No, go ahead.
All right. So my as we all know, Trump has been moving forward faster and faster in the polls, and it's gone from amusing to terrifying at this point for a lot of people. For me now, I'm not that surprised about the Trump success. I feel like people that have had his views have been kind of stifled and don't feel like their voice have been heard in the media long enough. So he's just kind of speaking for a huge chunk of people. That's why whenever people point out Trump's flaws, I think it surprises a lot of people when you point out his very obvious, very blatant flaws. His fans are very quick to just brush it off and sweep it under the table because they have those exact same flaws, is my personal opinion. I feel like a lot of Trump fans deep down feel a lot of the same ways Trump does about all of these things, maybe in a worse manner. So when you bring up stuff like, hey, his this is a guy who hasn't said anything, who's been extremely critical about everybody on planet Earth, and all of a sudden you question him about the KKK, and he's like, whoa, let me double check my sources and make sure that I don't, bash people who don't deserve it. And people are like shocked. They're like, how can you still be a fan of him after that? And then, well, it's because ultimately deep down inside, some people still have all those terrible feelings. But that's not what is amusing to me. What is amusing to me about this entire Donald Trump thing, and what I've really enjoyed the most recently, is slowly watching America figure out its cultures, like Hispanic culture, African American culture, white culture. It's been very interesting watching Black people define Black culture, white people define Black culture, and vice versa, along with all the other cultures. It's been very entertaining watching each culture slowly start to define it. So I had an interesting idea about this show, and I was curious if you could give it a shot and try to if you were told, gun to your head, you have to define each culture in America, right?
Yep.
What is white culture? Let's start with that. What do you think white culture is?
I mean, the difficulty with that is white people, even though we're all kind of a group now, hail from a lot of different fucking countries and cultures, Like a Dutch person's culture is going to be different from a German, different from a freaking British, different from a freaking Irish, especially. Irish is, now they're all fucking jumbled in with white people. But back in the day, Irish people were treated like shit. All right, early U.S., especially back in the U.K. I mean, they were not treated like just more white people. White people hated them, like fucking UK and people, stuff like that, or British people and stuff like that. But I mean, if you there is those cultures like you know, Germans have their own little fucking cultures and things that they do. Dutch people have them. I actually went to a Dutch freaking festival one time. It was pretty boring, but you know, they do exist. You know what I'm saying? But I think a lot of people kind of tie white culture into American. You know, they're almost thinking like colonial day American and kind of romanticizing the past. You know.
So if you were going to go ahead and I mean, we're thinking white culture is like colonial America, but like, all right, let me give you an example. Let me try to define black culture, right? Just to kind of see if you can get along what I'm trying to get you to try to do. So if I was to define black culture, I would say black culture is the general idea that, you know, after years and years of enslavement, a community rose up to become, you know, thriving members of society. And the easiest, the one of the ways they express that is with a history of like dancing, which is why they think they dance better, and a history of athletics, which they think they do better because, I mean, I don't know if it's been proven or not, but they think they do it better because after years of enslavement, they figure slaves were picked to be the strongest and the healthiest. So obviously our athletes are going to be the most dominant because of it. And they also use it as a source of blame for the reason why we are not as intellectually successful. You know, we're, you know, not most of the quote unquote geniuses in the world are not black. And a lot of the culture blames that slave history on that. Like, we haven't had the chance to catch up to modern history.
Yeah.
You know? So this is kind of black culture would be. The idea behind things like chicken being a favorite food is because we didn't have access to, you know, lobster and all the finer things. So we had to settle for the easiest thing to raise and take care of, hence chicken and chitlings, which are like the intestines of animals and stuff like that. So do you think there's a nutshell like that for white culture?
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, I think that's a kind of an issue is white people aren't as good at grouping up as they get very diversified really quickly. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there isn't anything that they could really like all rally behind at the same time. I mean, look at Republicans and Democrats. You know, yeah, there's different races in that, but for the most part, and for most of American history, which is slowly changing now, but probably up until at least 20 years ago, for the entire rest of our history, that's been a big battle between white people. You know, always. Yeah. That's been a fucking battle between white people, you know? Now, African Americans are way better at grouping them. Something like 90-something% of them are Democrat, you know?
Yeah.
That's a huge percentage. And I think that kind of goes with, which I'd have to look up to confirm that. I think that goes for a lot of the minority races, you know? Yeah. Which there's kind of a reason for that, you know? I mean, you know, I know a lot of my friends try and pretend every time I bring up the Southern strategy, which is historical fact, they try and run away from that. You know what I mean? But I think that is a big issue. Is the white people just don't get into those big groups. They don't ally as much as people. And really, I think it might be a case that they never really had to. You know, one reason black people do that a lot is because they were stepped on. They had to kind of unite to push back. You know. I don't think white people have really had, as a whole group, been stepped on like that. There's been groups of white people, you know, like slave, if I remember right, comes from Slavic, which are white people. They were the original slaves. But it wasn't all white people that were slaves. It was just that group. I was talking about the Irish earlier. I mean, the Irish were fucking virtually slaves in just about every way you can imagine. But it wasn't all white people that were slaves. It's just the Irish, you know? So I don't think that white people have been stepped on in that way to make them group up like that, you know?
Yeah.
Because right now, I mean, if I went on online and said, "Man, I'm gonna go kill all fucking liberals," 50% of America, of white people, are gonna be patting me on the back. Fuck yeah, go! You know,
Yeah.
they're not gonna group up and stop. Whoa, no, 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 no. They'll
Yeah.
fucking let it happen. You know. So
Now, I think, and that's kind of what's been fascinating to me. That's why I was kind of eager to ask you that question, because I think one of the most fascinating things that has come out is, especially with Trump, what he's done really good at is stirring all of this kind of these racist undertones and making them bubble. Is that it's given a lot of these communities a chance to group up. And the most fascinating thing for me is watching white people not do that. It goes back to like a conversation we had before. We had that conversation about um, when we found out the studies actually showed that there are more white people killed by cops than black people. And I remember back then I kind of started on this kind of chain of thought where I was like, why aren't you guys mad about that? That's a big deal. That's a huge issue. You should be extremely angry about that behavior. And the response I would get in general from people that weren't mad was, well, they probably did something to deserve it. Even if I would go, hey, even with all these cases of minorities having these issues happening to them where they didn't really deserve to be killed but ended up getting killed, you still feel like the person probably deserved it? And the answer almost unanimously always ends up being yes. So watching all this Trump stuff occur, it's been fascinating to watch white people not become a group. In fact, kind of white people fight white people over this issue. Because I mean, obviously minorities and white people are going to clash. That's normal. That's going to happen. That was unavoidable either way. But it's just been fascinating watching like liberal white people and conservative white people clash on the issue, especially this issue as Trump supporter. I was just telling you the story of a friend on Facebook to whom I posted the video of the black girl at the rally, the black girl who got pushed around at the Trump rally. Now, as we talked about off air, personally, I think, and you agree too, I think I have a lot of questions as to why she was there to begin with. It would be like watching a conservative go to an Obama rally. It's like, why are you here? You know, you don't like this guy. You're not coming to give him a shot. You're gonna have to do a pretty good job of proving to me that you didn't come here to stir trouble. I feel the same thing about this black girl. But be that as it may, even though she went there and probably went there to stir trouble, let's say that's what she went there for. The response of the crowd was still abysmal. You have people screaming the N-word at her. You have people pushing her around and all that kind of stuff. That is thoroughly unbecoming of a crowd. Just as unbecoming as it was when those kids on the college campus, those black kids, try to stop. What was it? What they try to stop on the campus?
No, well, it was a kid. He was a journalist, student of journalism. He went to, I don't even think he was filming the event. I think he was there taking notes, stuff like that. No, he was taking pictures. That's right. And they were throwing a fit saying they don't want their pictures taken. Well, number one, he has just as much right to be there as everybody else. And if you're in a public place, you have no expectation of privacy. So he had every right, was protected by the Constitution to be there. These people who were complaining about their constitutional rights being stepped on attacked him. And one teacher actually literally called for muscle for him to get dragged out. He completely violated the kid's rights.
Yep. So just as terrible as those kids were in that instance, just as terrible as, let's say, their message was a positive message, that action completely undermined it, just like the actions of this crowd undermined it. But at this point, we now understand, we've seen enough of these incidents in America that if you're going to go into a crowd and you have a contrary opinion, there's a high chance this happens. It's a terrible analogy, but there's a point to it. It would be like going to a frat party in a college as a young 18-year-old girl and getting completely wasted. You just put yourself in a huge predicament. Regardless of how awful that terrible person that does that is, you put yourself in a huge predicament by getting yourself to that situation.
You totally just fucked us, man. I mean, we're
no,
we're gonna have feminists attacking us over that statement right there. I guarantee you.
I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. I'm in no way endorsing anything that would happen in that situation. No way. All I'm saying is, and this is me kind of showing a little bit of puppet master here. All I'm saying is there were so many steps you could have done to avoid getting there. I think it's horrible if anything were to happen. You are not to blame if things happen. I think the person that does terrible things is to blame. Absolutely. But there were many things you could have done to stop yourself from getting there, right? Just like coming back to this black girl, despite all the horrible things and the N-word that happened there, I don't know why she was there. And the fact that she was there bothers me. But back to the topic at hand. I brought this up to a friend of mine who's very conservative, and we had a conversation earlier in the week where he told me, you know, if it came down to Trump or Hillary, he would pick Trump. To which I said, first off, I'm surprised by the fact that people keep saying that. You know, you don't have to vote. As far as I know, you don't have to vote for the front runner. You can vote for whoever you want. I'm pretty sure every election, Mickey Mouse gets like, what, 2% of the vote or some shit?
Somewhat good. I know right now, I just read that D's Nuts has been passed by Captain Crunch in the primary. So, yeah, there's definitely room for write-ins.
Exactly. So, you know, remember when D's Nuts was up? Yeah, you can vote for anybody as far as I know. You can vote for anyone. So you don't have to stick to these individuals. They're the front runner for the party, but they don't have to be your vote. So I don't understand why people feel locked into voting for these individuals, but whatever. More importantly, what I told him was I thought it was very interesting that he said that. So I pulled up this article of this girl at the Trump rally, and I sent it to him, and I said, even with these kind of supporters, he's still the better choice. And immediately he started this thing of, well, wait, let's take a step back and take a look at the big picture, which was fascinating to me because I'm like, if there's one thing we now know for a fact is that most white supremacist organizations in America endorse Trump. And we've said this on this podcast before. If your rhetoric is starting to sound good to such a controversial group, you really need to step back and look at that rhetoric again. Something's wrong. If I started talking on this podcast and all of a sudden I was getting Twitter shout outs from Al-Qaeda, I would take a huge step back and look at what the hell I'm saying. Because if there's something I'm saying that attracts Al-Qaeda, I need to pay close attention to my rhetoric here. You know, there should be nothing I say. There should be nothing in my personality I feel that should link me to that person. Just like I feel like if Trump was legitimately, you know, not biased to that kind of thing, he would be pretty strong about making it clear that that's not what he endorses. But despite all of the things, like a guy who's come out and said Mexicans are rapists and you know, and criminals, and I'm sure some of them are good people, who threw that statement out there off the cuff, then gets asked about white supremacy, and all of a sudden is very cautious and meticulous about doing his research before responding. That is terrifying. And I post this to my friend. I go, hey, so you're comfortable with this? And my friend goes, you know, well, you know, they're racist in every party. Whoa, this has nothing to do with racists in every party. This has to do with this one individual. I of course we can agree they're racist in their party. They're racist everywhere. But our conversation is this guy seems to attract
especially this show.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, true. True. But this guy seems to attract this rhetoric from these people. Nobody else in the conservative party attracts this rhetoric this freely. You know, I've never heard white supremacists endorse Cruz or Bush or any of those other guys. Only Trump.
Yeah, well, I don't think it would have been as popular if they did. I mean, I'm willing to bet in every election, I mean, probably for the past 20, 30 years, the majority of KKK chapters have endorsed whoever the freaking GOP frontrunner is. So that's another thing we got to kind of look at. Okay, we're hearing about this, right? Huge news. Okay, but is it huge news because it happened, or is it huge news because people are trying to run this fucking rhetoric, and they hear this, which happens every election? Okay, I bet you Romney had an endorsement from KKK chapters. I bet you McCain had the endorsement from KKK chapters, so on and so forth. But because this is going on and people are loving this Trump is a freaking racist thing, they're bringing it to light now. Now it's huge national news. So you got to be careful looking at because I mean, I'm willing to bet, I could probably look it up, but I'm willing to bet KKK members have endorsed fucking, and I'm not going to say that they're endorsing it solely because they're GOP. I think they just hate liberals.
Yeah.
Right now, a lot of people are going to shift to Trump, not because they're totally in agreement with Trump. I bet if let's say, who was the third runner? It wasn't Clinton. It wasn't Bernie Sanders. There's one more guy, O'Malley.
Martin O'Malley.
Martin O'Malley. I bet you
Maryland
if
governor.
he won the primary, there probably wouldn't be 30% of the votes that are going to come for Trump when the elections happen. A lot of people are going to run out and vote because they hate Hillary. Not because they give a shit about Trump. They just hate Hillary. And that's a lot. I know a lot of people who are passionately against Trump, but now that Hillary's run, they're like, well, shit, I hate Hillary. I think she fucking killed all these people. I think she did all this, blah, blah, blah. They're going to go run and vote for Trump now. So I can't really just say that it's because he's a racist that they're running to him. It's because he's not Hillary. If it was any of the other ones, Bush, Rubio, fucking Cruz, Paul, if it was any of them, they would run to them if Hillary was elected. There was the candidate on the other side.
Yes. No, I got you. I can agree with that. It's just to me watching white culture split like that kind of made me start digging into, well, what the hell exactly is white culture? Like black culture, we have stereotypical black jokes. There's some stereotypical black jokes where you can go, we all like chicken, we love to dance, athletic, all that shit. But and I think we've talked about this before, there's no stereotypical white jokes. Nothing that's stuck anyway. So all of a sudden I'm like, okay, what is white culture? Well, white culture is being in a pub and having a beer. But white culture is also eating kale and, doing yoga at 3 a.m. White culture is surfing, but white culture is also bull riding. It's also being a metalhead. So all of a sudden you have all these identity issues with white culture, which really fascinates me because I'm like, okay, when you have because most of America is a bunch of mutts, as Americans, most Americans are mutts, even African Americans are mutts, just a mix of whatever your ancestors were from different regions. So when you have that and it becomes this, because I hear all the time, we're American. I'm like, okay, then what the fuck is America? We have a black culture, we have a Hispanic culture. So worst comes to worst, if they can't define America, they can always fall back on that culture, on those stereotypes, whether positive or negative, to be some form of identity, So what, and do white people have that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. And I'd also say, is that a bad thing? Because here's my thing. Like, let's take Michael Brown. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say there's a lot of diversity there, but I would say 80, 85%, maybe even 90% of black people rallied around Michael Brown after he was killed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was a great fucking idea. They were rallying around him because he was black, killed by a freaking white cop. Okay. But looking into it and looking at, and don't get me wrong, I think Ferguson PD was pieces of shit. And I think there was really great fucking examples of them abusing their power. I just don't think that one was it. and nobody
True.
wanted to pay attention long enough to realize we're making this entire thing look stupid. I mean, that whole case did a great job of knocking back, okay, to people who are on the fence about it. All right, apparently these guys are full of shit. There isn't really a racism problem. That guy was a criminal. He was a piece of shit. And let's not forget, this is this guy, here we're supposed to be talking about racism here, attacking a minority, assaulting him and robbing this guy, a minority with a fucking, personal business. Then afterwards, when the riots happened, they went back there and trashed that guy's entire place. So if you're just somebody sitting on the fence like, man, I don't know what's happening. This hasn't happened to me, but maybe there's a problem. And you see this, you go, there's not a fucking problem. These guys are lying. That guy was a criminal. Every evidence pointed to him attacking that cop. He was rightfully killed.
Yeah.
So it pushed the whole thing back, probably permanently back. There was people who were on the fence who now saw that whole shit go down and go, okay, yeah, they're full of shit. There isn't a problem. When there's great cases like, who is this guy? Damn it. Henry Davis. Henry Davis was attacked by fucking Ferguson PD in a jail cell, beaten, and then they charged him for destruction of government property because some of his blood got on their uniforms.
Yeah.
It turned out they had the wrong guy. He didn't even commit a crime. The dude was perfectly innocent. Beaten up in a jail cell. Later on, these cops, first off, they wrote statements about it. When they went to court and were cross-examined, they said that they lied. They said that they lied. The cops said that they lied themselves. They said, no, that never happened. Well, it's here in your statement. Don't know what to tell you, but it never happened, Why didn't anybody rally behind that?
And I think you're absolutely right. That's one of the major downsides of having, culture. I mean, it's same downsides of having, a family in some respects. If you have something that occurs and let's say your member of the family is the one lying, you're more likely to rally to your member of the family before rather than sorting out and finding out the truth.
Yeah.
For most families anyway. Most families. But and that's one of the downsides. But one of the upsides is it's easier to congregate. It's easier to find a reason to gather in a common interest. That's why Hispanics can usually, gather pretty quickly, and so can African Americans. And I noticed with this whole Trump thing, even Caucasians that agree have a hard time gathering on this issue. And it's really interesting to me why. Like, okay, you would think all these people that are Trump supporters, it would be pretty easy for them to just kind of fall back into a group and become a group of Trump supporters, right? Not really. They're still just little offshoots that stand apart instead of just gathering together as a force. Well, it's really fascinating to me because I'm like, I thought that would be the first thing that would happen. I thought the second people would attack Trump, all Trump supporters would have, like, I thought there would be like a Trump webpage where Trump supporters can all get together and talk, and Trump meetings in towns and stuff like that, based on how excited these guys seem at these rallies. But
there is, man. I could link you to one right now.
Oh yeah, I would love to see it. But it's just I don't seem, whereas like Black Lives Matters immediately became like this huge online thing where even if you weren't connected to it at all, it was so big it leaked into your life, your personal life, regardless of whether you wanted to know about it or not. I don't know many many Caucasian cultures that do the same thing. And I just think it's interesting why white culture doesn't bond like that. You guys tend to bond over a cause more than over each other as a community, which is a good and bad thing. It's good because you get to bond over specific incidences. You get to make sure the cause that you agree with is the one you follow. Like PETA. You want to see some annoying people bonding together, fucking go to any college and go to a PETA meeting. Jesus.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I'm really curious as to why, other cultures can do it, but you guys can't. And this is, as you said, it's a very recent thing. I feel that you guys can't do that. I think, when the Irish came, the Irish used to bond together. Irish were always in Irish areas. There's still a little Italy in Maryland, where I'm from, where it's almost all Italians and they all know each other and they all interact. That's a little community that bonded. I know some areas where Russians do stuff like that, but it's just weird for me that I can't see that on the big stage. You guys are still staying in those small communities, which is interesting to me.
I don't know, man. I'm not seeing this at all. I don't know. I don't know if I'm missing what your exact point is. But my thing is, I don't think white people bond as white people because they don't really need that. They don't have that strike. Like you're talking about, more white people are killed by police than black people. Well, the couple of issues is that we outnumber you. I mean, fucking 4-1. Of course, we're going to be killed more often just because there's more of us. I bet you more white people have heart attacks than black people. I bet you have more white people are hit by cars than black people. That's just because there's more of us,
Yeah.
I mean, I bet you more Chinese people die in their bathtubs than white people and black people combined. That's just because there's a shit ton of them. It doesn't mean that they have a habit of drowning in their bathtubs. Just there's so many of them, But I don't. That's why I don't think white people bond, because there's not a strike. There's not really a big attack on white people. When the U.S. was attacked, we all bonded as Americans.
Yeah.
During especially just after 9/11, probably 4 or 5 years, we're a pretty fucking tight group there. I mean, look at the voting record to go to the war in Iraq. Everybody was telling us that was wrong. Republicans and Democrats went hand in hand, ignored the UN, barreled our asses into Iraq. Okay, that's a pretty heavy bond, ignoring practically every fucking other country, every ally we had, and running to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my thing is, and you bring it up how well black people bond together. I don't know if that's really the case. I mean, I've seen black cops treat black people worse than they would ever treat anybody else. I've seen black people in positions of power abuse black people underneath them while treating the white people just fine.
Mm-hmm.
I've had black women demand that they do not get put under another black woman. No, I am not doing that.
No, that's a thing.
Yeah,
I've witnessed that. That's a real thing.
So
women in general under women can get rough, but black women under black women, oh yeah, that can get real nasty.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of a confirmation by that. There's no, if suddenly, let's say every other minority race rose up and started attacking white people, they would bond because there would be a need,
Yeah.
But the reason there's no bond isn't because white people don't bond. It's because there isn't that need,
That is true. I never took into account that one big reason for communities to bond is for safety. Yeah. So if there is no threat, you don't need the safety. So you're kind of free to go about. That also explains kind of the rabid position of like Trump supporters when it comes to immigration and stuff like that. If you feel you're getting attacked, obviously.
Yeah. And another thing, how white people don't really care about white people being killed by the cops, it's because, and really this is the case for most everybody. Okay, there is rare occasions, kind of like that guy I was talking about right there, that perfect example of who everybody should have rallied behind in Ferguson. There's examples of innocent people getting fucking jacked, okay? But for the most part, these people are not innocent. These people may not have committed a crime worthy of what the fucking response was. But at the end of the day, what most white people's feelings on, at least, is you put yourself in that position, Like I was telling you, for example, like when I was in the criminal justice classes, one example they gave us is 2 guys in a bar got in a fight. One guy punched the other guy, gave him a black eye, right?
Yeah.
That guy was sent to the or gave him I think he really fucked him up. Their word is eye was damaged, right? He went to the hospital to get checked up on. The guy was diabetic. While he was there, the nurses gave him a wrong injection and killed him due to his diabetes. That guy who punched him in the bar was charged with manslaughter because he is the one who put him in the hospital, which is an inherently dangerous place. Even though he didn't kill him, he was charged with manslaughter because you caused him to be in an inherently dangerous position. Well, the way a lot of white people feel is if you're out there doing something stupid, running from the cops, attacking people, fucking, running into your car from the cops, and you get shot, you put yourself in an inherently dangerous position. Yeah, maybe the cop overreacted and fucking killed you, but you did that to yourself. You're a fucking criminal, And really, a big thing white people do love, which is hit or miss, but especially Americans. I say white people, Americans, okay, is punishment. And if you ever see like anything, especially anything involving kids, so they catch a pedophile or something like that, or somebody who beat their kids, you go to the comments section, you're gonna find fucking usually white people, person after person, oh man, we should fucking kill them. We should drag them behind the car. Oh, he choked his baby. We should choke him until he fucking dies. See how he likes it. They love vengeance, okay? So when you see a criminal get their comeuppance, you're not feeling like, oh man, that's one of my own that went down. They're like, there's another fucking criminal that just got his just serves, Yeah, maybe he shouldn't have been killed, but you know what? Fuck him. He's the one who decided to take the risk, So that's a big issue too. When black people see a black person get killed, and especially when it's a case of a possible overreaction by a cop, they're feeling it. Okay, I remember when that cop pulled me over, treated me like shit for no reason. I remember when I went into this place and security guards were following me around. I remember when all this shit happened to me and I wasn't doing nothing. You know what? Maybe this guy was in my shoes and just fucking got hit for it, White people don't have that issue. I walk down the street, I see a cop, me and him wave to each other, tip our hats. I'm not sitting here thinking like, oh my God.
I forgot about that bowler hat you wear everywhere.
Well, you're goddamn right, So I think that's an issue, and that's an issue most white people don't understand about why black people react like that. It's because they can draw on personal experiences of them getting fucked over by the cops. They could draw on hearing their mom or their grandma talking about fucking dogs being released on them and fire hoses being fucking sprayed on, this and that. They see these videos in school. They're not in the same mentality that, hey, every cop's there to protect me and this and that,
Yeah.
So that's a big reason why they group up on that when white people don't. White people don't feel the need,
That makes more sense. Because, when this whole thing went down, obviously I had the reaction everybody had, but ultimately what kind of really caught me off guard is I was just kind of like, I see all these groups, but the one group I don't see just a group of white people, for a group that's pretty dominant part of the culture. I was like, I just don't see them bonding like all of us bond, which made no sense to me. But when you explain it that way, it makes a lot more sense. If you don't feel like there is a particular hardship that is aimed at your entire race or culture, I'm sure it's very, you don't have a lot of reasons to bond with strangers because it's just like, oh, what's the point?
Now and this ties into one of the reasons I think Trump is doing so good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a good part of it that is people who are racist or some degree of racist rallying behind, finally, instead of this politician just saying, backdoor shady shit or saying thugs or saying shit like that, he's actually coming out with it. And I just looked it up, how many Klansmen do you think they are? They're supporting Donald Trump, okay? How much support do you think that is?
Like people wise or
people wise?
Yeah, I would say 100,000.
In the 1920s, they had 5 million members. Okay. As of recent estimates, they have between 3,000 and 5,000.
Oh, snap!
So here's national news. David Duke, and mind you, David Duke is not a KKK member. He left 20-something years ago. He has no association with it. Now he says he's not a white supremacist. Now, from what he says and what he does, two separate things. But as of right now, he denounces white supremacists, and he has not been a member of the KKK for 20 years, I think.
Yeah.
The moment he came out, KKK leader says blah, blah, blah. I don't even think the guy was even a fucking KKK leader, okay? I mean, actually, no, I think he was back in the day. But he sure as fuck isn't now. So you see how that's getting twisted right there.
Yeah.
And here's people making the news, national news, making a big deal about 3,000 to 5,000 people. Okay, that's a ridiculously small number. Okay, compared to 350 million people in the U.S. Okay, so with these Trump supporters, I really don't think all these Trump supporters. I don't even think I think a percentage, probably a healthy percent, but I would be amazed if it's over 30%. Okay, probably even if it's over 20. But right now, on both sides, there's a huge anti-establishment fucking support group. That's just, on both sides, it's huge. I mean, fucking Bernie Sanders has been in politics since, I think the Stone Age, and all of a sudden, he's a fucking potential goddamn president. You know, he came close. You know, he's still got a fighting chance. Not really, though, but I mean, officially he has a fighting chance, okay?
Yeah.
There was no time in the past that an independent could get that much support. I mean, no time in fucking modern history, you know?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's just unheard of. So on both sides, there's a big anti-establishment push, okay? Now, Republicans, conservatives have been feeling stepped on ever since freaking Obama's been president. So they are feeling it even more. They've been feeling stomped on this whole time. Now this big anti-establishment push comes in, and one of them, Rand Paul, you know, I would take him over Trump any day, okay? But the dude fucking sucks, okay? Let's be honest. Being a libertarian is an extremely easy thing to be when your daddy's rich. It's, of course you don't want any government support. You would never need that shit in your life. Rand Paul went to a fucking private college. His daddy paid for it. He doesn't care about free public college. How is that going to help him at all? He would never send his kids to a free public college, you know, or to a public college, period. You know?
Yeah.
So he had a decent running for a libertarian. Okay, and libertarians, if you remember, they have never, in no country in the world has ever practiced libertarianism. Never. It has no fucking real world experience. But all of a sudden he got, 3% of the vote, which is crazy considering how few libertarians there are. All of a sudden there's a big push of libertarians, you know? Now Donald Trump came in and was the strongest contender, and the fucking Republicans were attacking him left and right. I'm not talking about other Republican candidates. I'm talking about the Republican establishment doing a lot of shady shit, attacking him.
Yeah.
Like one of this is still kind of tentative right now, so don't hold me if this is true or not, but it's sounding more and more true. During Super Tuesday, there was calls going out saying that they were Nazi KKK members, okay? Nazi KKK members calling out, supporting Trump, asking people to vote for Trump.
Didn't they trace it back to like a...
Somebody found the IP address. I think they called somebody's VoIP system, and that went back to Marco Rubio's one of Marco Rubio's super PACs.
Wow.
So you see how when you're already kind of anti-establishment, you see this shit like, yeah, they're really attacking us, you know? Yeah. And they really felt like their freaking parties turned on them. Okay, that whole thing Paul Ryan did when they did the omnibus thing, funded practically everything Obama ever wanted. Mm-hmm. Okay, they were furious about that. Republican leaders just pretty much said, fucking take it, bitch. What are you going to do? Vote for Hillary? Well, what they did is voted for Trump. Mm-hmm. So a big push for Trump isn't even necessarily Trump himself. It's fuck the Republican Party. We're going to get this guy out. They kept fucking us. They just give us garbage to vote for that have no chance of challenging Hillary. Okay? So they're pretty much confirming a Hillary fucking chance. They're just siding with Democrats on whatever shit we don't like. They haven't done anything. We hated abortion. They haven't done shit to stop abortion. We hate welfare. That's just been expanded. We hate freaking nationalized healthcare. They fucking let Obamacare come through. So it isn't even a we're racist, Trump's racist, we're valoring about it. It isn't even Trump himself. It's just he's not Hillary. He's not a Republican establishment person. He's the best shot we got. So there's a whole other fucking tier to this. And if you go on, I'll drop you that fucking it's actually a subreddit, and it's probably one of the most active political subreddits on Reddit right now.
Yeah. Drop it on my to me so I can check it out later. It's fascinating stuff, man.
For what I mean, Bernie Sanders was pushing for a while on there. All of a sudden, Trump's just went crazy, and I mean, it's hit a front page all the fucking time. But if you go in there and talk to them, number one, they're not. I mean, practically none of them are racist. I mean, not overtly racist like the scumbags you see on TV. You know?
Yeah.
Most of them are pretty reasonable fucking people. But they're supporting Trump with a fucking passion, man. And the biggest things you see, the biggest thing is fuck Hillary, which I totally understand.
Yeah.
Okay? And
I think even liberals can understand that position if you're actually paying attention to politics.
Oh, yeah. So, I don't know, man. And at first I was kind of thinking, because when the numbers first started coming out, I didn't think Trump really had a chance at winning the election because Hillary is getting more votes than like all the Republicans combined, let alone just Trump, you know. But once all the numbers came out, no, the fucking Republicans killed it, man. I mean, they got like something like 8.9 million votes, while Democrats only got 5. Yeah. I mean, if that translates into the distribution through the national election, he's going to win by a greater margin than fucking Obama did, you know.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It's interesting to say the least.
To say the least, as the least you can say. It's gonna be an interesting election. This whole thing is gonna be an interesting election. I almost just want to cryogenically freeze myself for the next 5 years and just wake up after all of this is over. Because honestly, I'm just not ready for this nonsense. And I'm talking from all sides. This is just going to be nonsense.
The thing that, because for a while, and really, I mean, if I had the chance, I would support Bernie Sanders, not because I particularly like Bernie Sanders or a good number of his ideals. I mean, here's my big issues. When I look at a politician, when I'm just looking at the person, rather than, until I look at what they voted for, what they stand for, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. The first things I look for is, number one, were they born into money? If you are, it's an automatic negative point to me. Yeah. Okay? Because I do not think any person born into a rich family can really understand, not even saying they're mean about it. They just do not have the capability to understand what somebody born in a low class or lower middle class life is anything like.
Yeah.
Imagine how different your life would be where money is never an issue.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, they've interviewed people before that were successful. I forgot what TV show. There was a TV show that made a point of interviewing people that were successful and asking them like everyday questions, like what's the price of milk, or what's the price of, bread, or what's the price of this or that. And I just remember some of the answers you would get from some of the like rich people. I think they interviewed you ever heard of the rich kids of Instagram or yeah. So I think they got one of those kids on there that he had like got his own reality TV show and all that, and they were asking him like the price of milk, and I think he was like $100 for a bottle of milk. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, if these Ivy League, guys are born into some, now granted that's an extreme example, obviously, that the kid's obviously a doggone narcissist. If you
Yeah.
ever watch, the rich kids of Instagram, it's plain as day. But it was like, if anyone who is rich is running for office, I mean, it's not even their fault. How can they possibly relate?
Yeah.
It's not they're not to blame for it. It's just, I don't know if this is the guy to tell us what the lower class should and shouldn't do.
Oh yeah, and that's
They
like
don't know the needs.
one of the killing strokes for McCain. Which, mind you, I don't really dislike McCain. Okay?
Yeah, I actually like him.
Yeah, and I would love to have him in this election. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But one of the big downfalls for him is when, I can't remember exactly what he was asked, but somebody asked, like, how much your houses are worth, and he said, I don't remember how many houses I have.
Oh, Jesus.
And people are like, here's people struggling to stay in their fucking apartments, and they're like, what? And I think that was during the recession, or
Yeah.
McCain. No, that was before, but still, people weren't in great shape then,
Yeah.
But that was a big issue. Another one, I don't know if you remember this, but George Bush Sr. was taken to a grocery store one time and was amazed at the scanners they had to scan the barcodes to price out your shit. And he just talked about it for, wow, this is incredible technology, blah, blah. And people, it just ended up being a terrible thing for him, because people were like, how can he relate to us if he doesn't even know how groceries are bought?
Yeah.
So that's a big issue for me.
I also think the funny part about it is we've named only conservatives in those examples, but that applies to liberals too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so that's why it's a big point. And think about Kanye West, perfect example. Okay. He wasn't born rich. Okay. Matter of fact, I think he came from, I don't think he was devastatingly poor.
No. He was definitely low income. He grew up with his grandmother, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he was not well off.
Look how fucking crazy this guy got getting rich later on.
Yeah.
And he still got rich pretty young. I think he was 20, 21 before he really started hitting it big, somewhere around there. Still got rich kind of young, lost his fucking mind. You see child stars all the time. They'll get famous in movies, get all this money pushed to them. Their entire lives are just fucking ridiculous. They end up in all kinds of shit and fucking craziness.
Oh yeah.
Because this money got poured on them way too early. So if you're born into money, it's an immediate down point for me. Okay? Immediately. Yeah. You just cannot understand what the vast majority of Americans are living like. You cannot understand their lives. Another point for me is if you have military service. Mm-hmm. Because, and I've heard people, and it really came up a little later, okay, a couple of years after I left the military, where I remember a friend of the show, James, he was talking about, he was totally harping on this one kid, Zach Wamp, if anybody wants to look him up. And that was a problem for me. Number one, he was born rich, so I already didn't like him. Number two, his daddy was the congressman of the spot he was trying to take. 2 points against you, okay? Number three, the kid was talking, yeah, and really I want to make sure to prevent something else like the war in Iraq, because I don't want any more of my friends to go to Iraq. Not a worry, or go to war. Not a worry in his fucking mind that he might go to war. He knew that was impossible. My daddy's rich. I'm not going to war, but I don't want my poor friends to go. And another issue is, and I can't remember which politician it was, them talking about how much they've served their country over their 15 years as a congressman. As a congressman, you get way more benefits than sacrifices you have to make. Incredibly more. When you're in the military, it's completely opposite. So if you're willing to serve your country in a way that's detrimental to your life, that takes you away from your family, that risks your life, that pays you like shit, then I'm willing to look at you as, okay, now you want to serve your country in a different way. Yeah, this one's going to benefit you, but you did this. I'm a little more on your side. Okay? And another point is, if you've been a fucking career politician all your life, if you've just been in politics all your life, again, you do not understand
The common man, yeah.
Common man. That's a point against Bernie Sanders right there. He's been in politics for. And another issue for me is, why isn't he rich? That guy's been in Congress making a couple $100,000 a year. He's only worth $500,000. I know people making less than $100,000 a year that have more than $500,000 in assets.
Yeah.
So, and you know, his supporters, of course, immediately, well, you know, he really takes, so maybe he's donating it. Well,
that's a maybe.
Can you prove it?
Yeah, exactly. That's a assumption there.
Yeah, so don't people think that I was totally all for him. I have a lot of problems with Bernie Sanders. The thing I liked about him, though, and it wasn't even about him, is number one, he's always supported veterans his entire career. I'll give him that, okay? He's voted true to that his entire career. Number two, he knew there's an issue with how much fucking power money is getting in politics right now.
Yeah.
And number three, it's a Republican-led Congress. You know, people are talking about he's going to jack up taxes to 90%. He doesn't have the right to jack up taxes. Congress doesn't. And I do like that when there's different branches of government, and, you know, supposedly judicial branch is supposed to be nonpartisan.
But we all know that. Yeah, we all know it's partisan.
But if the Congress is controlled by one party, the president is a different party, now they're striking balances.
Or at least a chance at it.
Yeah. Both of them are fucking retards in their own way. Now you got retards having to fucking compete. You get a little bit above the threshold of retardation. Just a little, just a touch over. Okay. So that's why I would have been fine. You know, if it was a completely, you know, no hold bar freaking Democrat Congress, then Bernie Sanders, I would be really worried. You know,
yeah.
I think he needs that check and balance, you know, but with it being a Republican-led Congress and not looking like it's going to change anytime soon, I can handle it. But it doesn't fucking matter anyways. I give that guy a fucking 1,000,000 to 1 shot, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I still feel anyway like anybody who's ready to elect, whenever I talk to people and they can't give me a negative on the candidate of their choice, I immediately don't take their opinion seriously.
Or a positive on the other side.
Yeah, or a positive on the other side. That's kind of been, I think I've mentioned it before in the podcast. I know I've mentioned it to you in private before. One of my big words recently has been as opposed to what. Yeah. I get into conversations all the time, and before we can even get into an actual debate based on what my belief on the position is, I just ask automatically as opposed to what. If you can't give me an answer to that, we're not about to have this conversation, because you haven't given the opposition an actual shot at changing your mind. You never came into this conversation knowing jack about the opposition. You knew your position, you knew the opposition's negatives, and that was it. In a lot of arguments I get on with conservatives, and even some of my liberal friends, I get into these big things where I'll always ask them, like, hey, do me a favor. If you could elect someone on the other side of this, on the other side, who would you be looking at? Who would you be looking at? And I'm telling you, my liberal and my conservative friends, none of them have ever given me an actual answer. None of them. They've never actually told me, like, somebody on the other side that we've had this conversation with, somebody on the other side they would vote for, which is extremely sad to me, because it tells me, like, you're not actually looking for the best person for the job. You're looking for the person that most
You're looking for why your person is the best for the job.
Well, not even why your person's is the best for the job, but the person who has your ideals the most that can win. It's not even best for the job on your side anymore. You're more looking to win your side of the argument than to actually know whether your side of the argument is right or not. Like with this Trump-Hillary thing, when I talk to my liberal friends, they're like, if it's Trump or Hillary, I don't like Hillary, but I'll vote Hillary. What? That's a terrible answer. That's awful to me. Like, you just told me you don't want to vote for this person, but gun to the head, you're being forced to vote for them. No one's forcing you to do this. You don't have to vote for that person. You can vote for the person you really want.
Yeah. Well, an issue with that is it's worked against people. Okay?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
You know, when I think Ross Perot ran, you know, some conservatives went over and voted for him, and a lot of people count that as why Clinton became president.
Yeah.
And it has hurt people in the past, you know.
Yeah, no, it absolutely it will. It hasn't. I mean, it has, and it will, because it divides the strength of the party. Now, instead of having all the strength putting this one candidate, a lot of the strength is leaked out pushing other people. But in an election that is this divisive, ultimately, I think you should vote according to what you believe. That's always been my idea about politics. Like, you're voting on what you believe. You're picking the candidate which you believe is the strongest. Whether it hurts the party or not is pointless. Your belief should come forth, right?
Supposedly.
But supposedly, but it's gotten to the point where it's now this game where we're playing this game until there are only two potential battlers, and we have to pick those two. You have no other options. And this started in the last Obama elections, when I was hearing conservatives complain about what's his name, Mormon.
Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney. Remember, nobody wanted Mitt Romney to win the primary. Nobody wanted Mitt Romney to be the front runner. But when he became the front runner, everybody had to band behind him to win against Obama. So much so that almost every single politician that had been saying that they absolutely would not support Mitt Romney ended up flipping on that when he became the front runner if they were conservative. And I watched it happen in real time and was just like, wait, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Why you just told me that you absolutely wouldn't like this guy, and now you're supporting this individual? Well, because I have no choice. He's the only one. No, support the guy you want to support. Ride or die, right? That's supposed to be the whole point.
Yeah, that's what you say when you think your guy's gonna win, you know. Like, and here's the funniest thing for me about this whole the primaries.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing surprising happened.
Yeah.
The polls predicted exactly what was going to happen in the fucking primaries, but so many people had their fucking minds blown.
Well,
if Bernie Sanders had won or had been a fucking beaten Hillary, that would have been surprising because he was fucking slated to lose.
Yeah.
If Trump hadn't taken it, that would have been surprising because he was slated to win. You know.
Well,
so,
we've talked about this before. If you're actually seriously trying to find out the answer on who has the best odds of winning politics, you don't look at the pundits or the news. You look at the bettors in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you find out an unbiased perspective, because those guys aren't going in it with their ideology front and center. They're going in it with their wallets front and center. They're way more attentive about who actually has odds of winning than any other person in the population.
Now, what do you think the odds are right now?
So, I mean, you're right. You're right. But anyway, that was kind of my point. I was really curious, and actually it answers it.
You still there, Dave? Well, I'm thinking I'm still on, so guess I better shut this down. What I was gonna ask fucking Davy Crockett there is what he thinks the odds are right now. And looking him up kind of surprised me because I really thought this would be flipped. Okay, the reason I thought it would be flipped is because I was saying earlier the amount of Republicans that voted compared to the amount of, I think there's 8.9 million Republicans voted, fucking 5 million Democrats voted, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think the odds are right now? For winning presidency?
I say Hillary.
But what do you think the odds are? You think
odds
it's like 50-50 Clinton or Hillary?
I'd
Trump
say 70-40.
70-40. Yes,
70.
It's 70-40. It's 110%.
Yeah, no. 70-30. Sorry,
you're actually pretty close. 63% Clinton.
All right.
23% Trump.
That makes sense.
And then 5% Rubio, 2.5% Sanders, 2% Cruz.
if you're being honest with it, from the very beginning of all this, everybody knew the reason, and people forget this now because he's been in the news and on top for so long. From the very beginning, the real reasons conservatives were that freaked out about Trump being the front runner, conservative politicians and pundits anyway, is because the greatest fear is once he came to the main elections, he wouldn't be able to sway independents. They would lose practically almost all the independent vote,
which is sizable right now.
It's which is a sizable chunk, and that's kind of the big thing. He's pushed so much vitriol to be the front of the Conservative Party, which is not a new thing, by the way. Every politician has done this before. It's happened in old elections where when they're running to be the front runner for their party, they're pushing all these vitriol that they have to step way back from. But this election took it further than it's happened, well, in my personal existence that I've witnessed in politics. So he won't be able to backtrack from any of that. When he comes up and he's talking on a podium with Hillary, she's going to destroy him. There's no way he can backtrack, because all he will do petty attacks on her personality and won't approach the issues. So it's just, I mean,
yeah, she has a god awful personality too. So.
And she has a I mean, Hillary is not the hero in this story.
Yeah,
not even close. Not even close, which is sad to say. But I was gonna say, all right, now that that's taken care of, I mean, I'm pretty much done. That answers my topic. You got anything that you wanted to get into?
I got a funny thing for you. Okay, so
sure.
Let's say you got $100 to spare, which is why it's so funny talking to you. But if you were to put $100 on Hillary right now, you have the potential to win $153 back. Okay. So $53 profit. Okay.
Gotcha.
If you vote for Trump, same $100, potential to win $325.
Jesus.
Marco Rubio, third place guy right now.
Yep.
$1,700.
Wow. Off 100. That guy has no chance, huh?
Bernie Sanders, $2,600.
Ooh, that's even less of a chance.
Now, let's say you get real crazy. Let's say you throw that same 100 on Ted Cruz, $5,100. And let's say you go for the real long shot. Joe Biden, who I don't even think is running, $10,100.
That's a good return on my investment. So it seems like I'll be voting Joe Biden.
I wonder
and betting Joe Biden.
I might, because this says a minimum bet on this website at least is 10 cents. I'll win $10. Man, I might as well do that then.
I mean, I actually, it's funny you say that. I was watching it, something about betting, but this had to do with mixed martial arts. And they were talking about a guy who is a real famous, because he was one of the few people in professional betting that bet on Holly Holmes against Ronda Rousey in the Holly Holmes-Ronda Rousey fight. And when asked about it, he was like, look, he bet $10,000, I believe, because that's normally what he bets. And for him, that's a small bet. So, you know, he's got the money. Yeah, that's a small bet for him. So he's like, yeah, you know, he's like, I stick to baseball and football. Those are the ones where I can really follow the numbers and make a good profit on a good bet. But he's like, if I'm going to bet MMA on a big fight, bet the underdog. He's like, bet the underdog. Because really, all I need to win is a lucky punch.
Yeah.
And for on the way these fights go, he basically goes, I don't lose, because I think the odds, he ended up winning $240,000, I believe. I might be wrong, but something along those lines for his 10,000. So he goes, I'm gonna make my money several times back in at least one of these major fights.
Yeah.
If I just keep betting the underdog, I still come out on top in the long run, which he does if you got that kind of money to bet. You're betting $100, you're not there.
I'll be all over that time, I guess.
Yeah, but anyway, that's I guess 10 cents long odds. We're gonna be betting a lot.
So who are we voting for? Who's Dare Disagree endorsing?
I'll be honest, I endorse nobody this election. Nobody.
Jesus.
I think the closest I can come to endorsing anyone is Bernie again. But literally, the only reason I would endorse him is just because at least I know exactly where that individual stands. He stood on that same platform practically his entire career. So this is the guy who was supporting gay marriage in the 70s when it was a campaign killer. Yeah, I don't mind him.
You know, and I got us back to that, but another issue I have with him is he also supported black rights, and you know how I feel about that. So
terrible. It's okay. I'm partial to it.
I'm just gonna have to endorse these nuts. That's gonna have to be it for me.
I think that works. Dare to disagree. You've heard it here first. When these nuts becomes president, Dare to Disagree was the first to endorse.
Yep. Jesus Christ.
All right. So wrapping it up, you got any parting shots?
No, fuck that.
None? All right.
Not till I move to Canada after Trump wins the election.
I do have some parting shots.
Carry on.
Here you go, sir.
Oh, shit. Hold up. Good evening, Dare to Disagree.
Jeez, deep darkness is back. What's going on, man?
What is going on? How is everybody out there in podcast land?
Well, you know what's funny is since you've been on your hiatus, we have received so many less reports on our videos. So thank you for that.
I mean, because I haven't been cussing every day. That's probably why you see so many less reports. But I'm gonna fuck all that shit up right now. let me tell you all about the fuckery out here in California. First of all, the hoes out here. There's so many goddamn females out here. It's goddamn ridiculous. Every time I think I want to go back to Baltimore, I look at the fine Paula Deen running down fucking the beach and just ass out everywhere. It's just fucking ridiculous. Gigolo spending lots of dough. And we haven't even been to San Diego yet again, but you know, eventually we're gonna go there and Sunday. But are we actually going out to drink though and stuff on Sunday? Oh, well, you going out to drink on Sunday? I'm trying to get laid.
We're going to as a legal
illegal alcohol?
Legal alcohol outdoors.
Oh, so it's like it's gonna be MILFs there?
Oh yeah.
Oh. Well, goddamn, I'm about to bag me and be a stepfather. Fuck
your kids.
Yeah.
Fuck your room, kids.
Fuck being a side dude. It's all about stepdaddies now. Get your shit up.
Fuck your room, kids. I gotta talk to your mom in private.
Private. But no,
talk to your mom's privates.
But no, that's really all I have right now. I can't say I'm hating it. I hate my roommates. I'm not gonna lie to you. I hate my roommates. There's a lot of sex going on, and I'm not getting any of it.
Jesus, man, that's terrible. The good news is though, it's not like they're banging any white women. So
I mean, no, they're not. No, they're not banging it. I mean, these girls are maybe. Who should give them?
Don't ask me. I want to answer that question. That's a loaded question, man.
I give them like a 5. I give him like a 5, maybe.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. And then, I give him a 5, but like, I know it's gonna be one of them things where it's like, once we actually start playing and these fine, luxurious women start coming up and talking to us, they're gonna, well, maybe not one won't regret it, but the other one, the drummer, he's gonna fucking regret it. So as Jonathan Esther said to me, just make yours count. And that's what I'm gonna do, shooting a J, shooting for 3.
Just so everybody knows though, freaking Cold Conscience doesn't rate any black woman over a 6, so these girls are doing okay.
Well, no, here's the thing though. I know don't rate any black women over 6, but they're not black.
What?
They're like, what are they? What are they?
Like that.
It's some
Venezuela.
Some bullshit that speaks Spanish.
The Mexicans? Oh shit. Okay.
No, they're not Mexicans, but they speak a lot of fucking Spanish, and
if they speak Spanish, they're Mexican. That's what we're saying.
Well, I mean, yeah, fair enough. At the end of the day, Donald Trump is going to import all of them.
Yep.
So it doesn't really matter what you speak. You speak anything that goes with yo, you're probably gone. So majority of the black people in Baltimore are gone too because they say yo all the time.
That's good times. People better start getting ready. Get your resume ready to make some Starbucks baristas. We're going to need them once Donald Trump gets fucking president.
God damn, I'm telling you, all the Starbucks positions are going to be open. Every last one of them are going to be open. All the Starbucks.
So many McDonald's just left vacant.
And fucking all the McDonald's vacant and all the fucking Lowe's. There's not going to be anybody outside Lowe's like, hey, senora.
That freeway grass is going to look horrible, though.
Freeway grass is going to look horrible. Pretty much everything's going to look pretty horrible.
Hey, man, we still have black people in jail. That get taken care of. Don't worry about that.
Come on now, even black people in jail don't work. What they work for?
Especially with Trump becoming president. Jesus.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a lot of people. I'll probably just be sent to jail just for wearing a hood on my head eventually.
Goddamn, we can only hope.
Yeah, if Trump wins, we're on our way to definitely either the Purge or the Hunger Games. It's like, damn, I hope my district wins today.
Jesus. I'll take the Purge over that.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's a pretty. It had nice looking females in there. I don't know if that's the case. That's the case for me right now. Is trying to get laid, and I've been so close, but yet so far.
Well, once Trump sends you to jail, man, you'll get there.
Oh,
we're still up heard.
Case in point. But that's all I got on my experience. I give it back to John for Esther here. I just had to say what's up to the Dare Disagree network out there.
Jesus, get out of here, man.
He told me get out of here. He said once I get arrested, I want to
another black man out here ruining the California air. I can tell you, we're repopulating.
I'll tell you what, too. It's funny is you went out there and all these freaking people were nervous about you be living there. And you're like, man, these people are acting like I'm just gonna bring a whole fucking crew of black people out. Little did you know you were totally gonna do it. All of their worst fears were realized.
Well, the problem, as I said earlier, is I don't know how you guys can't gather as a community. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Tell you what, man, get too many. That's the communities you miss out on. You were looking for white communities. Those are called homeowners associations.
that's what
They'll take care of you guys, man. Those people are serious. You think the Bloods and the Crips are powerful, man? Go ahead and put a fucking pink picket fence outside your house.
Try to paint your house a different color.
Get one of those flamingos. It's over, dude. You're
watch them come down on you like a ton of bricks. Anyway, my other parting shot is this. Look, for fans of Kanye West who have heard about, have you heard about Kanye West and this illegal download issue?
No, man, I ain't heard about him since he was talking about getting fingers and shit.
Yep. Which his very finger-free asshole, as he claims, is regretting now. Kanye West recently posted a picture. I gotta find the picture he posted. He posted a picture of something. I don't remember what it was, but he posted a picture of something on his Instagram page, and it was a picture of his laptop screen on a web page displaying something. Well, what astute interneters noticed is on the top right corner, on the top left corner in the tabs, there happened to be one tab open on the side, which happened to say Pirate Bay.
Oh, I'm reading it now. Is Deadmau5?
Yep. No. Deadmau5 is the one that kind of came down on him, and there's a reason why Deadmau5 did, because last year Deadmau5 and Kanye West shared a stage to support Tidal, and on that stage they were together in unity against people robbing music offline, which was taking the food out of the mouths of the musicians who work hard on this music for you.
Yeah.
Except Kanye was on Pirate Bay allegedly downloading Serum, which is an advanced wave synthesizer, wavetable synthesizer, which is basically it's a program that helps you manipulate sounds. You could say the word ah and then make it sound melodious and tweak it and mess with the pitch and adjust it as need be, so that whenever you hear a lot of dubstep and stuff like that, they're using MIDI controllers and wavetable synthesizer type stuff to tweak that sound so you can get the drops and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
And here's Kanye looking like he was illegally downloading it after having campaigned so hard for everybody to buy titles so that artists could get the actual money they deserve.
Yeah, well, you gotta remember, the people who make that software, they don't have families to feed.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
selling
not.
White T-shirts for a couple $100.
Rich conglomerates. So for all those people that that are worried about Kanye and his money and all that, don't worry, guys. You'll still be getting dope music because it turns out Kanye doesn't pay for his programs. So
I'll tell you what, that boy has been taking a beating on Twitter. Like, that ass kicking you took from that girl. Who was that girl who said that?
that was Amber Rose.
Amber Rose. He was talking all that shit.
She's
and
a dime
she
piece too.
shut his ass down.
He's
One post.
still now at concerts. He goes on occasional rants about it. Like he had a concert I think a week ago where he went on a whole rant that he wasn't getting fingers in his assholes and never had, which hilariously couldn't have proved to me more that he did.
You know, my issue is, dude, that's your fucking business, man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit, you know?
Well, here's the problem. You forget the African American community is still way behind on homosexual issues. So something like that is still considered homosexual. And if you're a rapper, that ain't real.
I'll tell you what, man. Okay, I'm as straight as a fucking arrow. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but if Amber Rose said I could fuck her, and that was the cost,
That was the
so people came at me like, "You got a finger?" No. I got Amber Rose's finger on my ass, son.
This ain't this ain't some crazy coke whore's finger. This isn't some Jack in the Box door person finger. This ain't a janitor's finger. It's Amber Rose.
Amber Rose. You don't come talking shit to me
You know.
until you get like Megan Fox's finger up your ass. Then you could talk down to me. But
It's like getting a finger from who's that British lady in all of the freaking British movies. She's the most
talking about
she's
Elizabeth Hurley?
she's the mom and star in the James Bond movie.
Oh shit, I forgot. Dude.
Oh, I'm talking Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren. That's not the same person. It's a different one, but I was talking about Helen Mirren. Sorry.
Okay.
But it would be like getting Helen Mirren's finger up your butt. That's not even dirty anymore. That's the classiest thing that could happen to you.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I can't even look down about that, man. Amber Rose is quite the lady, you know. So ain't nobody can make me feel ashamed about that. I'll tell you right now. Anyways, sounds like you fucking kicked out again, man. Which means I'm shutting down this fucking show. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll probably be back on Wednesday. We're trying to get somebody
Hello, can you hear
on the
me?
show. Yeah, no, I can't. Shut up. I'm closing this bitch down, okay? We're trying to get somebody else on the show, and this time
I think
seems
that's the
because of some
internet gods letting us know it's time to shut this thing down.
fucking bitch. Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's the last you'll hear of fucking John Finester. We might have to adjust the show's time because it's not working very well for some of our freaking hosts. As you've noticed, we're missing a couple people here. So we may change the time. If we do, we'll give you fair warning, which will probably be about 30 seconds before we start the show. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Check in the Facebook page. Check us out on SoundCloud. Check us out on this mother. Check us out on SoundCloud. We got that fucking iTunes thing going on. Get your asses on there. People have been downloading. Thank you for that. And we'll see you guys hopefully next week. Bye.